Значи аз съм Кадрин Хасанов, представител на Асоциация Интегро. Това е невладина организация от България.
My name is Kadrin Hasanov from the Association Integro. It's an NGO from Bulgaria that actively is included actively in building the national Roma strategy in Bulgaria. I'm going to start my presentation with few words about the situation before we started building the strategy in Bulgaria. The first policies related to Roma exist from 90s, preparing the first framework for the Roma integration strategy. After that, we have many sectoral policies who are working on the integration of the Roma society. We have a strategy integration for improvement in the area of housing. We have a special program for improvement of health among Roma. We have a special program for the educational integration. And we have an action plan from the Roma decade for inclusion of Roma. So from the first policy, there's been 13 years by now. That would mean that even though we can still see poverty among Roma, many problems among Roma communities, dropouts from children, the highest percentage of school dropouts are Roma. Roma people live 10 years less than other general population in Bulgaria. When the European strategy for Roma integration was launched, it was another opportunity for us as NGO sector from Bulgaria to ask for a strategic document that will bring permanent changes in the Roma society. When we analyzed and saw that the existing policy for Roma were not very effective, even though there was some good things among them, but still a large part of it were unrealized, we saw that the majors in Bulgaria are not obliged to fulfill the policy. Many of those municipalities, they have good policies, and the majors do have desire to change the situation, but they cannot implement the strategies, and therefore the population continues to live in the same situation. And that's why we are working on the new strategy to put a compulsory commitment on the majors to fulfill and integrate those policies. Another problem is the lack of effective mechanism for monitoring and evaluation on local level. Up till now, the ministries has worked on their authority and obligations, but what they do is giving us figures that are not realistic to what's happening on the field. They do have mechanisms to measure the changes among the Roma community. I apologize, they don't have mechanisms to measure, and the problems are increasing. And the gap between the Roma and non-Roma in Bulgaria have increased, and there are many problems existing among them. For that, due is part to the media and to the radically aligned political parties. When we started with the communication, we conducted a research in 20 municipalities in Bulgaria. Do they have any strategies, and how do they implement them? And the result was that the major part of them do not have any strategies. Those municipalities that did have strategy, they haven't implemented any of the points from the strategies. some of the municipalities in Bulgaria would say to us, yes, we do have strategies, but they couldn't show us that they have implemented anything from the strategies. In many of the cases, the strategy was only one paper, copied strategies from the national program, stating the targets and similar. Very quickly after they've been ordered to prepare a strategy, they would just do that quickly. Another result from our survey, all the results from our survey, we sent them to the National Council. And after the NGO sector giving these recommendations regarding the strategy for Roma, their recommendations were taken seriously, for which we are very grateful. We organize groups, working groups, and in each working group we had one or two representatives from the NGOs together with the representatives from the government that worked on preparing the priorities. In order to ensure the inclusion of Roma community in the preparation of these policy documents in each region of Bulgaria, we prepared or we organized public discussions. We invited representatives from various organizations to tell us what is happening on the field, and we asked for the public opinion. Together with the National Council, we organized a round table where we invited the majors from throughout Bulgaria to hear their opinion, their problems they're facing in terms of implementing the local policies for integration. We can commend that this prepared strategy was done on the highest political level. The Parliament of the Republic of Bulgaria is going to adopt this strategy, and the goals that are set will pass throughout the National Council. Reports, I apologize. Another major thing is that up till 2015 we have a clear national action plan that is following all the priority areas of the decade. The third positive thing is that at this moment we are working on developing new operational plans 2014 to 2020 in Bulgaria. And the Roma NGOs are included in this process, and they will have opportunities to be included in this, in drafting of these operational plans, and those operational plans to be included in the strategy of Bulgaria. There are things that needs to be done, and we as NGOs, we are still working on advocating those issues. One of them is to have a clear mechanisms for monitoring and evaluation of the integration strategy. And again, I will have to stress that we have to measure the realistic change in the Roma communities, not just figures and indicators. The second thing that needs to be done is to implement a clear mechanism to oblige the majors to work on the strategy. Third part is to ensure the inclusion of the Roma community in each municipality As a part of the strategy, each municipality should have a civil council where the Roma community will be concluded, and they have to have a power to make decisions regarding the local situation. The next thing is to fulfill the target of the strategy, which is the human resources. Every ministry, every municipality should have a small structure that will be responsible for the implementation. And last but not least is to provide finances. And we have three possibilities for that. One is the European Fund. The second thing is the local budgets of the municipalities. And the third thing is a delegated budget from the government for the local municipalities. We all know that there is a financial crisis in the world. The municipalities are affected with this financial climate, and therefore the government should support the local municipalities if they want to create a strategy for integration. According to me, that's my personal opinion, is the role of the NGOs in the fulfillment and implementation of the strategy should be regulated. There are many people in Bulgaria who think that the integration is responsibility of the NGOs, but according to us, that's wrong. Because the NGOs do not have on their disposition the finances that the government has. They can be partners, they can be participants and included in the monitoring, and to work and to press, advocate for changes. And at the end, I would like to say that that was the easy part of the strategy, but now we are coming to the more difficult part, which is the realization, implementation of the strategy. Because if we do not have effective implementation, after a few years, we will gather here again, we will create new strategy, and we'll start all over again. Thank you very much for your attention.
За промени и корекции, когато се налага. И накрая ще кажа, че това беше лесната част от стратегията. Трудната предстои изпълнението на стратегията. Защото ако нямаме ефективно изпълнение, след 8 години пак ще се съберем, ще си направим нова стратегия и ще си търсим работа. Благодаря за вниманието.